Well, the university system in the state of Georgia has just taken a position to ban DEI in its hiring practices and acceptance practices at 26 public universities in the state, as well as taking a position on remaining neutral on political and social issues. I got news for you, University System of Georgia. Banning DEI is taking a position on political and social issues. DEI, it's a buzzword that's thrown around by conservatives, and they don't like it. So let's examine what DEI is. The acronym just stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. On its face, that doesn't sound like a bad thing. But, conservatives see it as people that are unqualified for jobs or positions at universities, whether they be students, faculty, or staff. They see it as we don't want unqualified people in those positions, which I understand. But that's not what DEI is about. DEI is about giving people opportunities to get some of those positions that they wouldn't have had before. Now, let's just look at the history of our country. There was a time when, let's be honest with you, there was no diversity, equity, or inclusion because whites in general, and white men in particular, did not want blacks to have any of those positions, regardless of their qualifications, right? It wasn't until the 1960s, we're only talking about 60 years ago, where affirmative action sought to remedy that. And then whites looked at that as reverse discrimination. So in other words, you stacked the deck for 200 years and then complained when the deck tried to be evened out. But the lack of diversity has been going on for a long time. So let's just look at history a little bit. Have you ever heard of Granville T. Woods? He was called the Black Edison. The man has 50 patents to his name, did most of his work on streetcars and railways. Those rides you like to get on at the amusement park, the roller coasters? His invention. He even invented a way for trains and stations to be able to communicate with each other through the latent static electricity on the lines, on the railway lines. The man was a genius, and he was self-taught, a self-taught civil, mechanical, electrical engineer, and he was black. He probably was smart enough to get into schools like Harvard and Yale, but he wasn't going to, simply because of the color of his skin, right? He would have been a DEI hire in most people's estimation, in white people's estimation, but the man just needed a chance to get in those schools. He was every bit as smart and every bit as qualified, although he may not have had the formal education to get in those schools. The man just needed an opportunity. And that's what DEI is about, giving qualified people a chance to get jobs that they normally would be excluded from, okay? I'll take it to something that everybody can understand, sports. Think about the major sports in the United States, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, and NFL football. There was a time when blacks were excluded from playing in those leagues. All the records that Babe Ruth has right now, a lot of those would be held by Josh Gibson, a black Negro Leagues player who was a star, but never got a chance to play in the major leagues. Satchel Paige, in sports terms, was an old man before he got into the league, even though he was equally as talented. And you know why there's so many whites that have so many of those records? Because they excluded the best athletes in the game at that time. Just think about what the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL would look like today if not for quote-unquote DEI hires. And think about other sports that had typically shunned blacks from playing within their ranks. Think about what tennis would look like today, and all the people who wouldn't even watch tennis if it wasn't for the Williams sisters, or all the people that were exposed to golf simply because of Tiger Woods. And DEI has its place today. In the NBA, there are two players that might arguably be the best players in the league. One's from Croatia and one's from Serbia, both of them white. And you know why they're in the league today? because the NBA expanded its reach to Europe, Africa, and Asia and gave opportunities to those players that they normally wouldn't have had. Those are DEI hires in the NBA, considering that the league itself is overwhelmingly black. Should they have been excluded from playing? No. The best talent should be on the court. That's where they are, and that's where they belong. That's what DEI is all about. It's not about excluding whites from having opportunity. Hell, they always have had opportunities. It's about giving other people opportunities to show what they can do. Every bit as qualified, every bit as talented, every bit as smart. They just need a chance. Wake up, America.